तिले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नामस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशितारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैता चंद्र जय गौरा भक्त वृंद जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैता चंद्र जय गौरा भक्त वृंद। Hare Krishna, I seek blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak something of substance today. This is a very wonderful opportunity to speak on the glories of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita. We know as Caitanya Caritamrita is a very wonderful literature, philosophy, as well as the biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, presented by an exalted devotee, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was being requested by the devotees of Vrindavan. And he got encouragement from Nityananda Prabhu too to write this biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's very difficult to perform any kind of devotional activity. Especially mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very important to grasp the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran. Without mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates and his devotees, it's very difficult to even understand a word of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we understand the philosophy of Srimad Bhagavatam, then that philosophy, that understanding give us the boost to understand the philosophy which is mentioned in Caitanya Caritamrita. So I think that very perfectly, in the middle of the week, we discuss about the glories and pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and pleasing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by all of our efforts to get together every Wednesday morning and discuss about the activities or pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are in the Madhya Leela, chapter 5, and we have seen till now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking the vow of renunciation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started his journey to Vrindavan. But by the trick of Nityananda Prabhu, he landed into Shantipura, where Advaita Acharya and other devotees greeted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the place of Advaita Acharya for a couple of days. And after some time, after bidding farewell to his mother and all the devotees, with few of the devotees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Jagannath Puri. So Nityananda Prabhu, Jagadanand Pandit, Damodar, and these are the names of some devotees who were accompanied, who were with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during his journey from Shantipura to Jagannath Puri. And we have seen in chapter 4 that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the village of Ramuna, he remembered the pastimes of Madhavendra Puri when he was visiting the temple of Gopinath. And now we are reading from chapter 5, the activities of Sakshi Gopal. Now, activities of Sakshi Gopal, we have seen that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has entered the boundary of Odisha. And there in Yajapura, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the darshan of a very wonderful deity of Varadev. And wonderful deity of Varadev, and there he performed 6 kinds of activities. So when we approach any scripture, there are different ways to grasp the knowledge from that scripture. One is literal way, the story which we are reading, and the story gives us the absorption into the pastime, and it's entertaining also, informative also, and reformative also. But at the same time, there is an ethical point of view too, which we grasp, which we gain for living in this human society. And then there is another form which is we call metaphorical, where we compare the different characteristics of the story with different people or objects and try to drive lessons from that. And the fourth and the most important one is transcendental understanding, where we get closer to Krishna or to the Supreme Personality of Godhead by understanding how we can improve our sadhana or our bhakti and thus progress further into the path of this devotional life. So I will try to give the lessons as we proceed further. So till now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has visited Yajapura and the deity of Varahadev. And in that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he performed chanting, dancing, he paid obeisances to the deity, he offered his prayers, and he spent the night there, and he appreciated the beauty of the deity. So we can see that these 6 things Chaitanya Mahaprabhu keep repeating wherever he is going. Even when he came into the village of Katak and he had the darshan of Sakshi Gopal there. So there also it has been mentioned that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced, he chanted, he spent the night there, he offered his obeisances, prayed in front of the deity. And now one more important feature, he is very interesting to understand the history of the deity. So I think that's a very important lesson. Whenever we go to any temple, any ISKCON temple, we should try to do all these 6 things and and we should try to appreciate the beauty of the Lord, and we should try to understand the history behind the deity, from how Srila Prabhupada or how this deity came into the temple. It's very important because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the role of a devotee, he is giving instructions to all of us. And it's very important that we should gain these instructions. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, because Nityananda Prabhu, he got separated from his parents at very early age, and he toured the entire India for 20 years. And at that time, when he was touring for 20 years, he got the chance to visit the temple of Sakshi Gopal, and he heard the story from the tongue people about the glories of Sakshi Gopal, or what is the history of this deity Sakshi Gopal. And now Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he glanced over Nityananda Prabhu, and we are very fortunate because we are tapping into the discussion between one Lord with the other, and the same deity Sakshi Gopal, who is none other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is standing in front. So the scene is very beautiful. So whenever the devotees meet with each other, it's always wonderful that, devotees talk about the pastimes of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's very wonderful. So if we see that Caitanya Caritamrita, it's running on a particular theme. And the particular theme is Vaishnav Sadachar, or Vaishnav Achar, Vaishnav behavior. And in this pastime, which we are discussing about 2 Brahmanas, young Brahmana and the old Brahmana, this pastime also depicts very important lessons of Vaishnav Sadachar, Vaishnav Seva, Vaishnav Shraddha, and so many other things which is related with the Vaishnavas. Specifically, all these things, Vaishnav Sadachar, Vaishnav Seva, Vaishnav Shraddha. We can see that Nityananda Prabhu started reciting the story. So this is the contextual understanding from where we are going to start from today. So in brief, there are 2 Brahmanas, old Brahmana and young Brahmana. And we can see, we have already seen that these 2 Brahmanas went on a pilgrimage from the village of Vidyanagar, and they visited Gaya, Kashi, and Mathura, forests of Vrindavan, and then forests of Vrindavan they have seen. And after taking bath in Kesi Ghat and Kalia Ghat, they have visited a very beautiful Govinda temple, Gopal temple. And in this Gopal temple, They both appreciated the beauty of the Gopala deity. And then because young Brahmana was serving old Brahmana selflessly, so old Brahmana promised him to give his daughter in return. I think all these things are teaching us very, very important thing. First of all, Srila Prabhupada has made a very, very important point that why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is hearing this story between two Brahmanas which contain the marriage proposal. If we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well as all his associates, they were very strict in their vow of renunciation, in their austerities. So why this mundane topic has been discussed? And because this is not just a marriage proposal between two parties, but because, and also the inference which sometimes people get out of it, that and in India also this story has been narrated so many times, and the moral of the story which people derive from it is not the correct way of interpretation, because many times it has been said that you have promised, if you have promised your daughter in front of the Lord, now it's your responsibility to deliver her. That's just not the message. It is being very clearly given by Srila Prabhupada in the purport of this, one of the words in this particular chapter, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, everybody was very interested to discuss about this story, because these two Brahmanas were pure Vaishnavas, and how Lord interfere in the life of pure Vaishnavas has been given. If we see, the entire drama has been orchestrated by the Supreme Lord himself. And we will get to know when Supreme Lord, at the end, he comes there in his deity form, and he also explained that, you both are my eternal servants. And that's why you both are serving me since time immemorial. So that's why the entire thing has been planned by the Supreme Lord to enhance and to show the world the glories of the two Vaishnavas, two pure devotees of the Lord, and also the dealings between them. So the young Brahmana, he was serving the old Brahmana selflessly without considering anything in return. So that is very important. Whenever we try to serve any Vaishnava, we should not think that anything in return I am getting out of it, or any kind of other service, or any kind of appreciation, as young Brahmana was doing. This is only the Vaishnav service, or the Seva. Vaishnav Seva should be entirely only to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. And we have seen that the older Brahmana has promised his daughter without even the approval from his daughter to his to this younger Brahmana. So we have, from this, I think we should learn that, whenever we are too excited and too happy, we should not make any promises in our devotional life. Like, I'm very happy. My 16 rounds have done very well today, so I am going to chant 64 from tomorrow. So we have to just think about all the circumstances around us, and then give the vow, right? Or then give the promise to somebody, or even to ourselves. So, and we have seen that young Brahmana, even after returning back to Vidyanagar from the pilgrimage, he was serving the old Brahmana in the same way. He was serving him in the same way, although although the older Brahmana had confirmed him to give the daughter to him in return of his services, but still there was not a change in the behavior of young Brahmana, and he was continuously serving the old Brahmana in the same way. And let me share the screen of today's verse. Okay, I think I have to go here first and then change it. So now elder Brahmana, he is at home. He invited his family members and informed all of them about his proposal to the old and poor Brahmana. So everybody got furious. We have seen, and they were they tried to pressure this elderly Brahmana so much, and his son, the son of this elderly Brahmana, he was an atheist. It has been mentioned, and Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he's saying that he was following Raghunath Smriti. That is Raghunath Das Goswami. We will see Raghunath Das Goswami in Ante Leela. There is a story that he was very expert in dealing with pounds and shillings, and he saved his uncle and his father from one of the magistrate by doing that. But Srila Prabhupada has said, but the son of the elderly Brahmana, he was an atheist. He was a fool number one. Although he was very expert in Raghunatha Smriti, that means dealing with pounds and shillings, but he was not an expert because he was an atheist. So now the young Brahmana, he came. This young Brahmana, he came, and this elderly Brahmana, he was in deep thinking. And this young Brahmana comes and asks him and remind him of the promise. So as we go, we are going to learn some more lessons from there. So anyone wants to read? It's 5.48, or I can also read. I don't know. Okay. Nobody is here to read. I will read then. E matta vipra chitte chintite lagila aradina lagu vipra tanara ghare aila. Translation. The next day, the elderly Brahmana was thinking deeply about this matter when the young Brahmana came to his house. Now, the old elderly Brahmana, he was very confused what to do, because he was told by his son just to say that I don't remember anything. So this elderly Brahmana, because he know, and this elderly Brahmana is a devotee of the Lord and a pure Vaishnava, he knows that he had made his promise in front of the deity in the holy place. And now it will be spiritual blemish on him if he is not going to fulfill his promise. So that's why this elderly Brahmana even prayed to the Supreme Lord that please help me in this situation. So prayers are very important whenever we are in a situation where we don't know what to do. At that time, it's very, very important to just surrender onto the Supreme Lord. Not that it's not important all the time. It's important to be surrendered onto the Supreme Lord. But specifically when we feel ourselves helpless, then at that time it is recommended to just surrender onto the Supreme Lord. And that's what Mother Draupadi, Mother Kunti, and so many examples are in Srimad Bhagavatam we have seen have did. And that's what elderly Brahmana was thinking very deeply. आसीना परमा भक्तिये नमस्कार करी विनाया करीना कहे कारा दुई यदि. Translation. The young Brahmana came to him and offered respectful obeisances. Then very humbly, holding his hands, he spoke as follows.
I can read Bengali Mataji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. তুমি মোরে কন্যা দিতে করিছ অঙ্গীকার এবে কিছু নাহি কহো কি তোমার বিচার.
Translation. You have promised to give your daughter in charity to me. Now you do not say anything. What is your conclusion?
For me, the Bengali, please.
Oh, sorry.
এত শুনি সেই বিপ্র গ্রহে মৌন ধরি তার পুত্র মারিতে আইলো হাতে ঠেঙা করি.
Translation: After the young Brahmana submitted this statement, the elderly Brahmana remained silent. Taking this opportunity, his son immediately came out with a stick to strike the young man. So here we can see that the old man, he is keeping his quiet because he's still in deep thinking about the situation. He knows whatever proposal his son has given it to him is not correct. And and the son is an atheistic. So he is sure that, the reactions are going to come. And that's why this old Brahmana is very silent, because he is very sad about the entire situation. And when the young Brahmana is asking him about his promise, not that young Brahmana really want to marry his daughter, but the proposition is that this young Brahmana knows that this old Brahmana had made this promise on the land of Vrindavan in front of the Gopala deity. And if he is not going to fulfill it, then it is one kind of offense. And that's why, in order to save the offenses in the spiritual life, this younger Brahmana want to help the older Brahmana. See, our spiritual life is just like a field where we are growing and cultivating our love for Godhead. And this spiritual field should be guarded very nicely with the guard, with the fences, right? With the fences. And all these things, lying and being dishonest, all these things are anarthas. And these anarthas stop us from going further in our spiritual life. And these anarthas get accumulated, and then it becomes an obstacle in the life of a devotee. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his Madhurya Kadambani, explained 4 kind of anartha. And these 4 kind of anarthas are Dushkrito anartha, Sukrito anartha, Bhakti Utya, and Aparado anartha. Right? This Dushkrito anartha, these anarthas, they are the anarthas or unwanted things which come from our previous sins. Right? I heard that someone was asking about the lying part in the last session, I guess, or last to last session. So the lying, whenever we lie, and specifically whenever we lie in front of a deity or lie with a devotee, then this is an offense rather than a sin. And there is a difference between sin and offense. Sin is more on a gross level and offense is more on a subtle level. So whenever there are offenses, then these offenses when these offenses get accumulated, then these offenses work as an anartha nirvritti, which comes under the umbrella of dushkrito anartha. And what happened? 5 reactions, 5 miseries happen. And these 5 miseries, avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinivesha, all these 5 miseries or darkness or ignorance happens. And we just get entrapped more and more into the bodily conception of life. And for that person who is committing offenses, it becomes very difficult to get out of the cycle of birth and death, right? So this son of Brahmana, older Brahmana, we will see in further verses that he is going to lie a lot. And also he has no faith, no shraddha in the, or no faith or no conviction in the presence of the deity, in the presence of the Lord, in the deity, or deity as the Supreme Lord himself. Not only that, this atheistic Brahmana, atheistic son of Brahmana, we can see that he is ready to commit, he is ready to strike the young Brahmana with a stick. So in Skanda Puran, there are 6 kinds of offenses which has been given. And these 6 kind of offenses are Hanti, Nindanti, Dveshyati, Nabhi Nindanti, Rudyate, and Na Harshate, na darsham hashyate. So, what are these six? Hanti, that means killing a Brahmana. And the killing a Brahmana, Nindanti, or blaspheming a Brahmana. Dveshati, getting envious from the, getting envious from the Vaishnava, not the Brahmana, but the Vaishnava. Nabhi Nindanti, failing to pay obeisances to the Vaishnava. And Rudyate, getting angry when you see a Vaishnava. And the sixth point is Na Harshate Darshanam. That means when you see a Vaishnava, you are not getting happy. You just see, oh my God, who I have seen this morning. Oh, I just walked into the temple and then I have to face this person. So all these six are the offenses of regarding Vaishnavas. And we should guard our spiritual life very nicely against these offenses. Otherwise, these offenses come as anarthas, which are unwanted weeds in around the bhakti lata. And these weeds, if these weeds are growing very fast, accumulating very fast, then these weeds are going to cover our bhakti lata or our plant of devotional service, right? So that's what is happening. Many times we ask, I'm talking about myself, I'm being chanting, I am being performing devotional activities, but I'm not seeing the results. And why it is happening? Because of the anarthas or unwanted things. It's like the bathing of elephant. Elephant is washing himself in the pond and then coming and just putting mud on himself. And that's what is happening. So this Brahmana, although he belonged to a very exalted Brahmana caste, but he did not have any respect even for the deity, any respect or conviction or faith for the deity or for Vaishnavas. So this is not the Vaishnava etiquette which we should be following. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead, please.
Are odhom mor bhogni chaho bibahite, bhamon hoya chand jano chaho ta dhurite.
Translation. The son said, oh, you are most degraded. You want to marry my sister, just like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon. So the pride in the son of older Brahmana and the wealthy Brahmana who belongs to a very affluent class of Brahmana, this Brahmana is teaching us what we should not be doing when we deal with the Vaishnavas. So Varnashram system has been divided into three parts, or where Varnashram system is given as, it's being divided into three parts, although only one Varnashrama, which is Daiva Varnashrama, has been given. This Daiva Varnashrama is the original Varnashrama system, which has been suggested by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita also, and in Srimad Bhagavatam also. And this is only meant to please the Supreme Lord. Sam Siddhir Haritoshanam, to please the Supreme Lord. But material Varnashram system comes into the picture, wherein all the caste, or specifically the upper class, Brahmana class and Kshatriya class, these classes, they just took over other classes in order to just subdue them. And that's when the materialistic Varnashram system comes out. Here we can see that because the other Brahmana belongs to a lower caste as well as he's poor. So all these material qualifications are not there, should not be there when we deal within the with the Vaishnavas. That's teaching us a very important lesson of Vaishnav Sadachar. We should not see a Vaishnav that, okay, this Vaishnav is poor, or this Vaishnav doesn't have a job like me, or this Vaishnav doesn't have a car like me, or a building like me. No, we should not distinguish between the Vaishnavas like that. Otherwise, it is a very big offense. keep having material intelligence towards the Vaishnavas. And that's what this person is doing, using the Varnashram system to subdue another Vaishnava and challenging him that who are you to marry my sister? And you are just like a small person, a small dwarf who wants to catch the moon. So we should try to guard ourselves against this offense. Okay, text 53.
হ্যাঙা দেখি সেই বিপ্র পলায়ে গেল, আর দিন গ্রামের লোক একত্র করিল।
Translation: seeing a stick in the hand of the sun, the younger Brahmana fled. The next day, however, he gathered together all the people of the village. So we can see by the dealings of this younger Brahmana, that how we should be behaving whenever there is a dispute between the devotees, whenever there is a dispute between any or misconceptions amongst the devotees, then it is advisable to gather and to invite some senior Vaishnavas or some senior people to take the guidance from. And that's what this younger Brahmana is doing, rather than going back and forth and putting a fight with the relatives or the family members of older Brahmana. This younger Brahmana, he gathered the people who authoritative people from the village, right? We call it Gram Panchayata, or people who have little assembly where there are few there are few 5 or 6 people who decide or who provide justice to the people in the village. So we should learn that whenever there is a dispute between the Vaishnavas, rather than fighting with each other, we should always try to seek the shelter of authority, or we should try to seek the shelter of other senior Vaishnavas. 54.
সব লোক বড় বিপ্রে ডাকিয়া আনিল, তবে সেই লঘু বিপ্র কহিতে লাগিল।
Translation: all the people of the village then called for the elderly Brahmana and brought him to their meeting place. The young Brahmana then began to speak before them as follows.
ইহ মোরে কন্যা দিতে করিয়াছে অঙ্গীকার, এবে যে না দেন পুছো ইহার ব্যবহার।
Translation: this gentleman has promised to hand over his daughter to me, yet now he does not follow his promise. Please ask him about his behavior. So now we can see, when we read this, so the doubts come into our mind. Really, younger Brahmana was so desperate to marry the daughter of the older Brahmana whose relatives are against it. But again, we are going to see in further verses that this younger Brahmana is only protecting the vow which older Brahmana has taken in the holy place in front of the deity. Because the only thing which is there in the mind of younger Brahmana or younger Vaishnava is to please Krishna and to please his devotees. 56.
তবে সেই বিপ্ররে পুছিল সর্বজন, কন্যা কেনে না দেহ যদি দিয়াছো বচন।
Translation: all the people gathered there asked the elderly Brahmana, if you have already promised to give him your daughter in charity, why are you not fulfilling your promise? You have given your word of honor. Now, the authoritative people from the village, they have the right to solve the dispute between the two parties. And that's what, whenever there is authoritative parties involved in the dispute, it becomes the matter, it makes the matter very easier, right? Rather than, as I already mentioned, rather than fighting, going back and forth. And this this younger Brahmana did not yet describe what has happened entirely at the pilgrimage, but he is going to. But right now, he just gave a little information, right? A very, very little information that this person has promised me to give me the daughter, but now he is refusing. So we can see that whenever we try to approach the other authorities or senior Vaishnava, it is very important that, to get the stories of both the sides in detail rather than just one line. And that's why the people of village, they just started asking the elderly Brahmana, and now the his son of elderly Brahmana is going to take this opportunity and explain his cooked up story, his false story to the people of village. We are going to see that. 57.
বিপ্র কহে শুনো লোক মোর নিবেদন কবে কি বলিয়াছি মোর নাহিকো শরণ
Translation. The elderly Brahmana said, "My dear friends, please hear what I have to submit. I do not exactly remember making a promise like that." Now we can see that this elderly Brahmana, although he had utmost faith in the presence of the Lord and he was a pure Vaishnava, but again he is making this statement in order to save his family members. But he is making this statement in order to save his family member, but he has a lot of faith in the Supreme Lord. And that's why we have seen that in the earlier verses, he prayed to the Lord that save my family members and my spiritual vows also, right? In such a difficult situation in which I am in such a helpless situation, please save me. And that's why on the basis of that faith, this elderly Brahmana, he is just repeating what his son has said him to do, as whatever his son suggested him to do. I do not exactly remember making a promise like that.
এত শুনি তার পুত্র বাক্যচ্ছলে পায়া প্রগল্ভ হইয়া কহে সম্মুখে আসিয়া
Translation. When the elderly Brahmana's son heard this, he took the opportunity to juggle some words. Becoming very impudent, he stood before the assembly and spoke as follows. 59.
তীর্থযাত্রায় মাতাজি স্ক্রল ডাউন তীর্থযাত্রায় পিতার সঙ্গে ছিল বহু ধন ধন দেখি এই দুষ্টের লইতে হইল মন
Translation. While touring various holy places of pilgrimage, my father carried much money. Seeing the money, this rug decided to take it away. 60.
আর কেহ সঙ্গে নাহি এই সঙ্গে কেউ একল ধুতুরা খাইয়া বাপে করিল পাগল
Translation. There was no one beside this man with my father, giving him an intoxicant known as dhutura to eat. This rug made my father mad. Now we can see this Brahmana, the son of Brahmana, how crooked he is, that he is making up a story which never happened. And this is he was lying before also, and now he made up this story. And if we can see in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 8, the story of Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj has promised to give 3 steps of land to Vamanadev. And there we can see that Shukracharya, he informed Bali Maharaj that this is actually Lord, Supreme Lord. Once you make promise with your pot of water, he is going to he is going to increase in size and he is going to take everything away from him. But Bali Maharaj, although he was aware about the situation, and although he was aware that he is going to lose all his Lakshmi, all his wealth, but still Bali Maharaj in that canto 8, specifically chapter 20 and text 4, if we see, he is going to make this statement that nothing is a bigger offense than lying, and specifically lying with a Brahmana, and lying with and that too lying with a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can kind of compare that Bali Maharaj, he just gave up everything of his, although he was aware. And in this particular verse fourth, Bali Maharaj is making a reference that Mother Earth is saying that I can handle any kind of burden on my head, but I cannot handle a burden of even one person who is a liar, right? So lying is such kind of offense. And Mother Earth is getting burdened by those people who keep lying about everything. What to talk about in the devotional path. So we can see and we can compare that how Bali Maharaj, how exalted of a Vaishnava he was, although he was in a dress of a demon. And here there is a Brahmana who belonged to a very affluent class, who belonged to a higher status of being Brahmana, and he is the son of a pure Vaishnava, but still he keeps lying, and on top of that he is making a story which was never happened, right? Narada Muni also in Canto 4th is made up a story of King Puranjana, right? But that story was to protect King Prachina Bhari and to give some lesson to King Prachina Bhari. But here, this Brahmana is cooking up this story only so that all the villagers get convinced by the argument of his father that he did not make any promise of giving his daughter. So many times we can see that on the pretext of saving our material possessions, we commit offenses which harm us in our life, in our spiritual life, right? And that's the reason we keep coming back and back, although we are following everything which is given to us in the process. But because we fail to safeguard our spiritual field very nicely against the offenses. It's like a paddy field where the water is there, and if the fence is not there, the water is going to flood outside the field. So that's what is happening in the life of a devotee also. So we should see that we should not be doing all these things which this Brahmana has done. 61.
ধন লইয়া চোরে লইল ধন, কন্যা দিতে চাহিয়াছে উঠাইল বচন।
Translation: having taken all my father's money, this rug claimed that it was taken by some thief. Now he's claiming that my father has promised to give him his daughter in charity. 62.
তোমরা সকল লোক করহ বিচারে, মোর পিতার কন্যা দিতে যোগ্য কি ইহারে?
All of you assembled here are gentlemen. Please judge whether it is befitting to offer this poor Brahmana my father's daughter. Again, poor Brahmana, because he is in the material Varnashram system, following where the people from the upper class can control and subdue people from other class, or maybe in the same caste, but the differences. In Brahmana caste, there are other castes also. Lower, one belong to higher caste, other belong to lower caste. So we have to see that Vaishnava, the status of Vaishnava is even above than the Brahmana, right? Status of, because Vaishnava is dealing, Vaishnava is above the modes of material nature. So this Vaishnava is situated on the transcendental level. So there is no material qualification which anybody should be looking at, right? And specifically when older Brahmana has already promised his daughter to this young Brahmana in the front of the deity, and that too in the holy place.
এত শুনি লোকের মনে হইল সংশয়, সম্ভবে ধনলোভ লোক ছাড়ে ধর্ম ভয়।
Hearing all these statements, all the people gathered there became a little doubtful. They thought it quite possible that because of attraction for riches, one might give up his religious principles. So this point is very important in a life of a devotee. Um, we should never be leaving our religious practices just to just get attracted towards the wealth which is coming up. Example, we all are working and we work in corporates also. We work in certain kind of field which and working there, we are not able to perform our sadhana or our devotion, or the regulative principles are breaking, or maybe I'm not able to chant properly my 16 rounds, minimum of 16 rounds, and I'm not able to perform devotional services because of my material attachment. So at that time, it's very important. And here they are writing, they thought that it's quite possible because it's normal. It's quite possible that because of the attraction towards riches, people just leave their religious principle. So devotees should think about this point that, whatever we are doing in our life, we should not be compromising on our practices of devotional service. We should never compromise on our sadhana, on following our regulative principles, because that's the key or the foundation on which we are standing in our devotional life. And if we get attracted towards riches and we think, okay, I have to fulfill the needs of my family, but somehow or the other, we should find some kind of time in which we can perform or fulfill the promises which we already made in front of our spiritual master. So even the people who were gathered, they got convinced by the story which has been given or presented by the son of elderly Brahmana, because they thought that, yeah, it's quite possible that people all the time, they, when they get attracted towards the riches or wealth, they just leave their religious principles behind, or they compromise their religious principles. So this is a very important point to grasp from this from this suspicion of the people of the village. Maybe last verse we can take. Yeah, 64.
তবে ছোট বিপ্র কহে, শুনো মহাজন, ন্যায় জিনিবারে কহে অসত্য বচন।
Okay. At that time, the young Brahmana said, "My dear gentlemen, please hear, just to gain victory in an argument, this man is lying." Maybe one more we can do. Let me see.
এই বিপ্র মোর সেবায় তুষ্ট যবে হইলা, তোরে আমি কন্যা দিব আপনে কহিলা।
Being very satisfied with my service, this Brahmana said to me of his own accord, "I promise to hand over my daughter to you." So this Brahmana, young Brahmana, he is also presenting his part, and he explained there that this Brahmana is the one who has promised to give his daughter to me. And that's what now he's explaining his part also, or his portion of his story, that, and he's going to say, I convinced him again and again. And that's what actually happened. This Brahmana again and again convinced the old Vipra or old Brahmana not to promise without the approval of your daughter. And he had made a reference from Srimad Bhagavatam about Mother Rukmani, where Mother Rukmani, she was not willing to marry Shishupal, but his brother gave the promise to Shishupal to hand over his sister to him. So Mother Rukmani, she was not very happy. So in the Vedic tradition or in Bhagavatam, we have seen that although whether it is marriage of Kardam Muni and Mother Devahuti, or Mandhata and the daughters of Mandhata and Shobri Muni, and so many other examples are there. The the permission was always taken from the girl side, or from the girl. Without the permission of the girl, without the permission of the girl, then there was never a situation that girl was handed over to the to other party. Even in the Bhagavatam it is given. But here, this Brahmana, this older Brahmana, he claimed very confidently that my daughter is my property, and that's why I have every right to give my property to anybody, right? And after even listening to the example of Mother Rukmani, he still promised, and on top of that, he promised in front of Gopala deity in the land of Vrindavan. So I hope that, I was trying to drive some kind of lessons from the story which we were reading. So I'm going to stop here. If anyone has any questions or comments, please go ahead. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share the teachings or pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Caitanya Caritamrita. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. This is a very instructive story, pastime here, and you covered a lot of nice points. Just about honesty, being straightforward, and it made me think that we do make mistakes in life. Sometimes we say something that's incorrect. We fall into Maya. We become overwhelmed in a moment of trying to defend our reputation or whatever it may be. These things do happen in our conditioned nature, and it's okay to say, okay, I made a mistake. We have to be able to come to that point of just saying, okay, I made a mistake. I made an error in judgment. I thought I was doing right, but I did wrong. And ask for forgiveness. A lot of the times, I think we get caught in, we become too proud to say that, and naturally, that's our conditioned nature, this pride. And so then we keep making the story bigger and bigger, and then we keep digging a hole for ourselves. And there's a saying that if if you're going to lie, you have to have a very good memory. And if you don't have a very good memory, better you just tell the truth. Because if you have to remember, okay, well, I told this, then I told that to this person. Oh, wait, did I tell this person that I was here, or did I tell that person? What time was I there? And then the whole story gets kind of, but you're all doing it just to protect and defend yourself, whatever it may be, the situation. But anyways, I was just reflecting on that as as this past, you're reading this pastime today, and we've been studying this. I felt this was a point that stuck out to me.
Thank you, Prabhu, for making this point. Actually, in scriptures also, it has been given that many times, lying is being justified, specifically when it has been done for the higher purpose. And example is given in the last class, I guess, in the purport. Srila Prabhupada has given that example of Maharaj Yudhishthir, when he was, he took the name, and that's how he killed that's how he killed Dronacharya, like that. So sometimes when the lying is for higher purpose and for saving the life of somebody, when emergent situations happen, then at that time we have seen that even big sages, they have also lied. But we have to contemplate that if I am lying to save my reputation, or I'm lying for the higher purpose, I think that's very important. The ethical understanding should be there. Why I'm choosing this among the two options of lying and not lying. And it is just for my own purpose, then definitely it's an offense, and I'm going to collect the anartha nirvritti. And that's why we are in conditioning. What is this conditioning is? This is that we, again, the habits which are not going away. And that's why, although we are following the process, we are performing so many activities, duties, but we are again going to come back here like that. So, okay. Thank you, Prabhu, for making this wonderful point. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Madhaji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for this wonderful class. It really hit home in more ways than one. I know that, we talked about lying and the effects that lying will have. That's one thing I always try to stress at home, especially to my daughter. Just never lie. Am I going to be upset if you do something wrong? Probably. Am I going to be more upset if I found out that you lied to cover your tracks? Absolutely. I always try to say, like, I'll always be there regardless, but I can't have you lie. I need you to always be honest with me. I need you to always be open. I need to have you tell the truth, because if I stick my neck out for you, that's my reputation as well. And I said, it'll come back that we're both liars. So this is good to hear. And it's good to always remember that, even if you messed up, and you're trying to cover your tracks, it just makes things worse. So it's a good reminder of that.
Yeah.
Even in my life, if I mess something up, take that responsibility rather than some grandiose lie that in 3 months, you're going to get caught and everything is just going to be worse, and then taking on that karma too. So thank you. It's a real good reminder in spiritual life, mundane life. It's just good to hear these things. So thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Yeah, by keep performing our devotional practices, it's very important that we raise ourselves to such a conscious level where we are conscious of what we are doing. And if we are not conscious of what we are doing and keep lying just for the satisfaction of our own things, or just to paint a picture very beautiful, if we keep doing that, then no one else, we have to understand that no one else is getting affected. It's me, who as a jiva, who is as a soul, is coming back and not going anywhere. So that's the thing. We know that Srila Prabhupada has said, follow your regulative principle, chant, and you are coming back. Yes, but hold your principles very tightly so that our consciousness can get raised to a certain level where we are conscious of what we are doing, our offenses, the surroundings, ourselves, and try to guard very nicely, as you said, Prabhu, Bhavagrai Prabhu. Thank you so much. Wonderful point. Thank you. Okay. So if there is no other question or any comment, so we
Very
can...
nice class, Mataji.
Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class, Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Have a good Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyevacha patitanam
Pitanam
pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namo
namo
Namo.
namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.